Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my March rooted video. If you haven't seen my other rooted videos, this one might not make a whole lot of sense, but you're welcome to stick around either way. So basically, last year was a really tough year for me. To sum it up in a brief synopsis, I moved from a large city to a very small town. I've had a really hard time adjusting to my small town, and so I am focusing in 2017 on feeling and getting more rooted here, and just finding ways to kind of find community and feel like I'm planting more roots down. Because although I don't plan on living here forever, my husband and I are here for now, and so I'm trying to make the best of it. So that's the brief synopsis, but I'll put up in like a little card where you can go and click, and if you want to watch at least maybe the first video, that might give you a little bit more insight. But like I said, you're welcome to stick around even if you haven't seen the others. So, a recap of March. March was a great month for me. I traveled quite a bit this month, which is pretty unusual for me. So I had 3 trips this month. The first 2 were to Austin, Texas, and the third one was to Sarasota, Florida. So what happened was I already had the second weekend in Austin booked, but my mom called me a few weeks ago and said that she was going to Austin for a conference. She travels a lot for work, and she was staying at a hotel downtown and wanted to see if I wanted to come and spend the weekend with her. And so I was really excited to see my mom, and I was also excited to go back to Austin because that's where I moved from. And so I went down there for the weekend with her and spent time with her when she was not working, and when she was working I got to go see some of my Austin friends, which was really fun. And then the second weekend I was down in Austin for a wedding, which had been on the calendar for like probably a year now, since I found out when my friend's wedding date was. And so my husband and I both, we went down for the weekend, we stayed with some friends, we just had so much fun. And so both of those weekends were really, really neat, and actually kind of a huge accomplishment for me because, like I said, I moved from Austin to the city I live in now, and I never thought I would leave Austin. I moved there right after I graduated from college for a job, and I just fell in love with the city and the people, and I loved my years there. And thought that I would be there for a very long time, thought I would, put down my roots there and have babies there, and I just really thought that that was kind of my city. And so it was, and has continued to be a really difficult transition to move out of that city, since that's where I have wanted to be and thought I would be. Anyway, because of that and those emotions, I've had a lot of trepidation and a lot of anxiety surrounding going back to Austin. So it's been about 18 months, closer actually now to 2 years since I have been back to Austin. The last time I was there until these 2 weekend trips was the day that I moved. So it's been a long time since I've gone back, and so many friends have asked me, why don't you just come down for the weekend, whatever, I'd love to see you. And I have been so funny about it, and have probably not been using the best coping mechanism, which has just been total avoidance, because I've been afraid of like what kind of emotions or feelings I would encounter going back to that city, being that I'm so unhappy here and my years there were so wonderful. And so it was definitely an emotional roller coaster. Those 2 weekends both were, and I definitely had some, crying, sobbing moments, and also some really, really happy ones to see my friends and see familiar places. And we did silly things, like Riley and I went to my favorite grocery store in Austin and got my favorite coffee that is only sold there, and just little silly things like that really were helpful, I think, in kind of coping with being back there. My heart still longs to live there or somewhere like that place where I feel such a sense of community and I feel so at home. And it's unfortunate that I haven't felt that here, but that's the whole point of this series, because I know I'm not the only one in the world who is going through something like this. But anyway, it was really great to see friends. It was great to see Austin. It was hard. It was definitely hard, and I certainly had my fair share of emotional moments, but I was okay, I think, for the most part, and look forward to going back at some point sooner than later. I'd like to not wait 2 more years. My third trip was to the Sarasota, Florida area, specifically to Siesta Key. My paternal grandparents go to Siesta Key or somewhere in Florida, some kind of Florida beach, from Maryland every single winter for a month or 2 months. It depends on the year. And where I grew up, we called couples like them who, fly south for the winter, we call them snowbirds. So my grandparents are snowbirds. Anyway, they are getting older and there's been some health complications, and it's just unlikely that they'll be able to continue going to the beach quite as often or maybe at all. And so knowing that, actually the day after Riley's grandmother passed away last month in February, Riley and I had a long conversation and just kind of decided, like, life is just too short. It may be several $100s to fly there and rent a car, but it's just worth it. It's worth it to spend time with grandparents. So I flew, I flew out of Dallas, flew into Tampa, and then I drove down to Siesta Key, and it was really great to see them and spend time with them. And obviously that wasn't a step in feeling rooted here where I'm living, but it was a great step in just feeling rooted in who I am and in my family. And those 3 trips were one weekend after the other, which is very unusual for me. I don't travel a whole lot, and so having 3 in a row was pretty crazy. But all 3 of them kind of helped me realize some things that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes here. But I first want to talk about a few other things that happened in March that have helped me feel more rooted here. So as you may know, my husband and I attend a small church plant in town, and when we first started attending, there weren't very many people attending, and there were a handful of kids, but not too many. And as the church has grown over the past year or so, now there are quite a few children, and there's a necessity for having like a children's church or a Sunday school or some kind of programming, because for obvious reasons, kids don't do very well sitting through a sermon for an hour. And so I was talking to my pastor and his wife this past Sunday, and when I lived in Austin, I worked at a large church as the preschool director. And so we were just having a conversation, and they were kind of asking me a few things. And at the end of the conversation, my pastor's wife, Jenny, asked me if I would just spearhead, the whole thing. She was like, "Will you just help us out, because this is within your skill set. You have had experience doing this and whatnot." So I was more than happy to, accept, so to speak. And so I am going to help, get some safety regulations in place and make sure that even with a small church, it's important for legal purposes to make sure that you have, vetted volunteers and that people have been trained and that, curriculums, everything's good to go and all that. So anyway, I'm going to kind of jump in and help out with that, which is really exciting. Definitely a nice way for me to get rooted within our church in a way that really speaks to me. I love working with kids, and so I'm really excited to be able to kind of help out in that arena. Especially since I don't have kids yet, it makes it even more of a possibility. I can spend more time. I don't have that extra responsibility. So I'm really excited about that. Another church-related thing is that my pastor's wife, who I was just talking about, Jenny, is actually expecting her 3rd baby boy. And she and I have become friendly over the past year. We're obviously in very different life stages, but she's really a sweetheart. And so another girl from church who's known Jenny for a very long time asked if I would help put together a baby. They're calling it a sprinkle, like instead of a baby shower, a sprinkle, because she already has so much of what she needs. But basically like a small, low-key baby shower with like diapers and wipes instead of, all of everything. So it's been really cool to get to know this other woman a little bit more and work together. I love crafting, I love hosting and baking and cooking and decorating. All those things definitely are within my wheelhouse. So it's been really fun to kind of work on that with her, and I look forward to the shower, which is in May. Another thing this month that I have done to kind of work on getting rooted here is that my husband and I went to Home Depot and we looked and kind of priced out building a raised bed garden in our backyard. So I've mentioned this at least in the February rooted video, maybe even in the January one as well. But there's something about this whole theme of my year of trying to feel more rooted and more planted that has made me so desperately want to have a garden. Like I just really want a garden, and I think it's like kind of a neat physical manifestation of what's going on internally. So we went to Home Depot and we looked at all the different things and we took notes and we figured out what we're gonna need and all of that. So we have guests coming in a couple of weeks now, and once they have left, we're gonna really dig into that literally and figuratively and try to create a little garden in our backyard. So I'll keep you in the loop with that because that should be a kind of an interesting experiment. I don't know that I have the best green thumb, but it'll be fun to at least just try and see if we can, you know, get some plants rooted and grown in our backyard. I have two more things. The second to last thing is that I am still in talks with the Boys and Girls Club. So I've mentioned them, I think in January, I think I mentioned them last month as well. It's taken a little while. As I said, when I worked in Austin, I was a preschool director and I had about 100 plus or minus volunteers that were kind of under my wings that I was responsible for. So I totally understand how much work it takes to, you know, go through the background check with a volunteer and then an orientation and interviewing and just figuring out if, you know, that person's the right fit and where they're a good fit and that kind of thing. There's honestly nothing more important to me than making sure that volunteers are fully vetted and they are good to go before they're put in a room with children. And so I totally understand. The Boys and Girls Club has been the same with me. So they've gone through some of the preliminary steps. They're continuing to kind of figure out where my best fit would be and talk with me, and they're in talks with each other, and I'm kind of willing to go wherever they want me to go. So it'll be exciting to get involved, hopefully maybe in the summertime when kids are off school and the club is a little bit busier. So I'll keep you in the loop with that. I'm looking forward to continuing to make progress with that and hopefully start volunteering soon. So the last thing is that if you don't know, I have an Etsy shop, and it is a shop where I have a whole bunch of screen printed tees and different designs. I have totes, I have sweatshirts, I have t-shirts, I have tank tops, all kinds of things. It's a really fun creative outlet and it's a great place to make income as well. Anyway, I have made this shirt kind of in honor of this word for the year. It says, "Be planted, get rooted, and bloom." And this is a white v-neck, obviously, but it is also available on, it would take me an hour to name all the other options. I mean, there are 3 different colors of sweatshirts, 5 different colors of tank tops, 5 different colors of crew neck t-shirts, 6 now, and then there are 4 other v-neck colors. So anyway, there's all kinds of colors, and there's a lot more designs. I just launched 6 or 7 new designs. I think 6 new designs, which I usually only launch 3 at a time, but I'm just feeling really motivated and creative, and so I just decided to add a whole bunch of new designs. Anyway, if you're interested in purchasing that, I'll put a link below, but even if you're not, it's just something that I thought was a neat kind of creative project for me. I wanted to create a shirt that kind of represented 2017 for me, and that is it. Be planted, get rooted, and bloom is definitely where I am right now in life. I feel like I'm still in the be planted stage, but I'm really working towards getting more rooted. Even though I know that we aren't going to live in this town forever, I want to make the best of the time here. I don't want to look at this time as wasted years. And so those words on that shirt are definitely, you know, the writing on my heart right now, and it was neat to be able to create that and share that with other women who might be going through a similar situation and might have comfort in having, you know, a tee to wear or something like that, where they can kind of be reminded of that same process, that it takes time, but it's important to go through those steps of planting and getting rooted so that we can bloom and we can be, you know, contributing members of society, we can be happy, and we can be in good relationships, all of those good things in life that, you know, you want to be a part of. So I mentioned earlier that getting away from, you know, where I live and going away several times this past month kind of gave me some new perspective, and that perspective has just kind of been that maybe it's okay if while I am living here I don't have really close friends. I would love to have really great friends and have, you know, what I've had in other places that I've lived, but this might just not be a season of life where that's really possible. Sometimes it feels really, I feel like such an outsider so often because the culture here where I live and everything that surrounds that has been so difficult to permeate. It's just not a culture that I'm familiar with. I've just had a really hard time with that, and so trying to figure that out has been one thing. But then also, like I've mentioned so many different times, so many of the women that I have met, you know, are in completely different life stages than me, or we just have nothing in common. I've met some women who are really, you know, nice people, and we've gotten to talk, and I've really tried to give it a shot. It's just sometimes you just don't click with people, and that's okay too. It seems like every single person that I've met, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say I think every single person that I've met has babies, just all kinds of babies. Everyone has kids. I love kids, as you can tell. I want to volunteer at Boys and Girls Club. I'm working with our church to help with the kids programming. It's real kids, I love them. But I can only talk about people potty training their kids so often. I can only talk about people disciplining their kids so often. And it just seems like that is always, whenever I'm in a group of women, that's the lowest common denominator. Everyone has kids. It's so easy to talk about, and that's what they talk about. And it just makes me feel even more like an outsider because, you know, I have a dog. I have nothing to share. So I have no hate, or I'm not upset about that. That's when I am pregnant or have a baby, of course, I will be jumping right in on those conversations. I totally get that moms need each other. But it's hard for me right now, not being in that stage of life, to kind of get into those circles. So I've just kind of realized, you know, getting away, spending time with friends and family and whatnot, like I might not have this amazing support system here in town, and I might not meet great friends that I can really walk through life with while I'm living here, but I have amazing friends and amazing supportive family all over the rest of the country, and they're only a phone call away, they're only a FaceTime or a Skype call away, and they're all only a plane ride away. And so I can still be a part of those communities. It would be wonderful to be able to sit across the table from someone, be able to go get coffee with someone, that kind of thing. But it's okay if that's just not really where I am right now. That's okay. Like, it's okay. I'm getting to a place of peace and contentment with where I am and who's here, and kind of what my assignment is while I'm here. I have a strong pull towards service while I'm living here. I just feel like I'm in a place right now where I have the time and the energy to really serve the community and help out in that way. And so I'm just going to take advantage of that. In future seasons of life, that might not be the case. So that's kind of where I am with all of that. I haven't given up. I'm still going to continue trying to feel more rooted here and all of that. But maybe there's a reason why I don't feel rooted here and haven't for a year and a half now. Maybe I'm just not supposed to feel totally rooted here, and my job is just to be really helpful and just love the people that I meet here. And in the future, you know, in a different season of life, in a new city, my assignment, so to speak, may be a different one. And so I'm really at a good place with that. One thing, though, that I'm realizing more and more from living here that I have learned and that I am so thankful for is I've been so humbled with compassion and empathy for people who feel alone or who feel like an outsider. Because although I've had moments of life and short periods of time in life where I have felt like an outsider, I've felt really lonely, it has never been for almost 2 years as it is right now. It's been almost 2 years now of just feeling like this is not my city, that I don't feel like I have roots here, I don't feel like I have friends here, I don't feel anything here. And having that experience, although it's been so tough, in the end I'm thankful for it, because it has given me exponentially more compassion and empathy for people who are lonely. I think I used to sometimes think that people who are super lonely or didn't have friends weren't trying hard enough, or maybe they were just really hard to be around, or I would make up excuses for why they were lonely. But the reality is that sometimes you're lonely and it's kind of outside of your control. You're trying, you're going to groups, you're going to meetups, you're trying to meet people, and it's the culture or the people or the life stages or whatever it may be are just not clicking for you. I'm experiencing that now, and I've experienced it for quite a while now. And although it's been so hard, like I said, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful because I feel like I have grown as a person in terms of being more understanding and compassionate towards other people who are lonely, because I know what it feels like, and it's not easy. So if you're lonely, if you're going through a time where you don't feel like you have friends or you can't meet people who you really click with, I really do get it. And I know it's really hard. And we're in this together. That's, you know, why I'm filming this whole project of Rooted 2017, was to build community around the idea of loneliness is a real thing. It's hard to feel rooted in different places. Sometimes you don't love where you live, and social media and all of that make it seem so easy to just go to a new place and just, you know, quickly click into the community there, but that's not always the case. So that was my March. I'm looking forward to April. I don't know what exactly April will hold, but I will definitely check in at the end of it and let you know. I would love to hear from you. How is your year going? Are you feeling more rooted in your city if you are having a similar, you know, experience as I am? If not, what's your New Year's resolution, or what was your focus word for 2017, and how's that going for you? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll see you next month. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope y'all have an awesome day. Bye.